Hey, what's going on, everybody? Toby coming at you. This is a weekly address, so to speak, I guess. Weekly address, is that what you want to call this? Or I would want to call this? We're tomorrow, today is Saturday, the 31st of May. So tomorrow marks 17 weeks since my surgery. Yesterday wrapped up 11 weeks doing cardio rehabilitation. So, I mentioned this previously on the last video or the one before that I was considering when I wanted to end doing the cardio rehabilitation. I ended it yesterday. I had considered going through next week, but after thinking about it more, the routine that I was doing with them was not going to, or would not have, future tense, would not have changed any type of the machinery, processes, or routines that I was doing, other than to increase the level of resistance and the time on each machine as I would have progressed a little bit. So I decided to end it yesterday, and so what they did was they repeated what was the day one of my rehabilitation. With the exception of No, it was. So on day one, they started me on a walk around. I think I pointed that out in a previous video. You can check that out here. They walked me around the track. They have like I said, a little track around. I guess you'd call it a track, a path around all the machines. And so they had me do that again. And what they did the first time was they said, do as many as you can. Don't push yourself hard. Just walk normal as much as you can. You can push yourself a little if you want to. Just walk at your pace for 6 minutes. And we want to see how many laps you can do. And then on that day one, when they did that, they also had me after that we did a questionnaire about my diet, my physical activity, my mental and social interactions, depression, that kind of thing. Do I interact with people socially? How's my diet? And they broke it down in the diet piece by, red meats, seafood, shellfish, chicken, turkey, or chicken, vegetables, fruits. They broke all of it down, asking how much I ate per, day, per week, per month, whatever. And then they also asked me, what my interactions were socially with people, if I was interacting with people on a regular basis, healthy social interactions, and then physical fitness. One of the biggest questions they asked with me ending it yesterday was, how am I going to continue with a pace of physical activity that I had been doing there after I leave, knowing that I wasn't going to do that anymore. And I just had said that other than days where it rains in the evening time, every single day I go out and walk at least 2 miles and enjoy it. So I've done 4 miles, I've done 5 miles, 3 miles. So anything above 2 miles and beyond is what I do now every day, like I said, unless it's raining outside. So that was ended, and when I first did the walk around, they said I did 12 laps in 6 minutes. Yesterday, I ended up doing 17 laps in 6 minutes. So they said I blew out my previous thing, showing great progression, great increase in strength and stamina. And they really, primarily this time yesterday, asked me, they focused on the questions that were less than desirable. Like, if I scored low on one of the questions based upon some health and professional experts' view and who created the questionnaires, right? So I did tell them, hey, I eat more shellfish, as in seafood stuff. We do eat that more often, probably once, if you want to call it once a week, whatever. But anyway, so I answered. They mainly focused on the questions that I had scored low on, and all of them except one, and I'll get into that. All of them really except one was better. The one that wasn't better was no change. It was just the same stuff. So yeah, I ended that. The funny thing was, I'll tangent off of that on my note here. Another awkward moment happened yesterday, as you heard me describe in the last video, with the machine that I was previously, when I went on the treadmill. I started trying to do a little jog, right? And I told you about that piece. You can see that in this video. But this time I was on the second. So after I did the walk, they asked if I was going to do the machines, my routine, and I said, yeah, sure, I'm here. Why not do it? You know, they're good stuff and it helps me, and so why not? So I did the first machine. I was on the second machine, and the second machine is this one. It's that sit down, or the bar stool style stepper that I call it. I was asking them, hey, what do you all call this? I don't know. I know this one's a sit down, kind of a sit down bicycle. This other one is the same thing, except it's kind of like a bar stool thing. I've said this numerous times, right? So I was on that machine, and I was doing a level of 11 resistance for 12 minutes. Today would have started the 12 minutes for everything, for all of the machines individually. And they asked, they always ask me what the MET level is, and it's a cycling piece, a metric that shows on the dashboard or the readout that shows you what's your performance. I don't know what MET stands for, but it's on both of those two machines. And they always ask it every day that I go in there when I'm doing one of them. They said, hey, what was the last MET level you saw? And so yesterday when I was doing it on the second machine, it was like between 7.9 and like an 8.5-ish. It was back and forth depending upon how fast I was pedaling and moving and rowing my arms. And at one point, the only nurse in there, only male nurse in there, his name's Brad, I think. Again, all these folks are great people, great personalities. They're awesome to interact with and talk with and exchange with and whatever. But he mentioned he was on a far corner at a computer station monitoring, and he spoke to one of the other ladies there, and she comes over and she says, hey, we need you to back down your activity on that thing, because they said my heart rate was upwards above 140 beats a minute. And they said it was actually like between 140 and 160. And so I was like, so she came over to me, the same person that came over on the previous one last week, and she says, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm fine. And I only had on this particular situation, I only had 30 seconds left. I was almost done, but I think, I might be wrong. But anyway, she asked, am I okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And then she said, hey, when's your next appointment, your next doctor appointment or follow-up? And it's kind of funny to me because in my head I'm thinking, I'm in the middle of a workout or an exercise or physical rehabilitation routine here. I have no idea when my next follow-up is. I'm not thinking about that, right? So I was like, I don't know. I think sometime in July maybe. But anyway, I finished that, and she said, well, you're over 140 beats a minute, and just please back it down a little bit for us. I just thought that was kind of funny. So yesterday when I was walking with my wife, after this, I thought about this and we were talking about it, and I cannot seem to not do a video anywhere around, or it's not anywhere around or near the top of an hour, right? Because I always do it, and the hourly chime always kicks in. So here, those of you that love it, you get the Titanic theme. So anyway, the point is, I went and looked up, and I'll put the clips right here in front of me. I asked Google I asked it two questions. One, what is the average heart rate for a male over 50 after triple bypass? I think I included after surgery. And then the second question I asked was, what is the maximum heart rate of a male over 50? And it gave both, and you can see them right here. I'll even put them in front of my face. But the regular average heart rate was like 140 beats anyway. I think it's 170 to 140, something like that. And then the maximum was like 170, I think. And like I said, this will correct me here if I'm wrong, but it just kind of struck me as funny. So anyway, I just thought that was funny how that went on. I went on with the other machines and wrapped up, and we all said, I said thank you, and they said great having you, and whatever. So ended that piece. The next thing I'm going to talk about is painkillers. Earlier this week, I missed on Thursday or Friday. I missed. So what I do is I take pills in the morning, and then I take pills in the evening, and then one of my pills requires how do I say that? What do you call it? A third indication or third taking of it per day, right? So 3 times a day. And I take it around 1 or 2 o'clock-ish in the afternoon at work, or when I was teleworking, I would take it here at the house. Anyway, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, I have these little pill bags, right? You know, many of you probably seen them, or have seen them around your own personal or around whatever. Little pill bags, and they're just mini Ziploc bags, right? So I put 2 acetaminophen tablets in there. They're 250 or 500 milligrams each. I think they're 250 milligrams each. And in that one pill, and it's not a water pill, it's actually a heart pill. I'll put the label up here so you know which one I'm talking about, because I don't remember the actual name, the name of the pill. But 3 times a day, I put that plus the 2 pain pills in the bag, and I forgot and left them on my nightstand yesterday morning when I left for work. So I didn't have it. So the next indication of pills I would take would be in the evening, like I do before I go to bed. And so I got home, we went on a walk, we had, some food. I think I had fruit or whatever. I ate salad yesterday for dinner. Then I had a bowl of cereal, as a dessert kind of thing, treat myself. And then we went on our walk, came back, and I wasn't in terrible pain, but I did feel discomfort in my incision area, chest area. And so I found that tends to happen when I miss or forget that third, which would be a second dose during the day, right? So this week, and I'll update this next week, this week I'm going to dial back on my pain meds. I'll either take 0 throughout the day, or I'll take 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. I just want to see what it's masking. It's helping, but it's about time at like I said, 17 weeks, where I need to look and see if the pain meds are necessary, if they're holding back pain that I cannot manage my own. I mean, many of you will know what I'm saying. There's, they tell you, especially after major surgeries, stay ahead of pain management. Whether they give you hydrocodone or whatever they prescribe you. I'm always careful of that kind, especially the prescribed stuff. I don't like taking it because I do not want to even begin any kind of risk of addiction. So I take it as needed. I stay ahead of pain, and I take it as needed. With this, I'm not addicted to Tylenol or acetaminophen, but I'm also habitually taking these prescribed drugs as a recovery piece and whatever is monitoring for my surgery and my heart and everything and my arteries. So I'm going to back off on the pain meds this week a little bit to see if the pain I'm at, or if I feel any kind of discomfort, if it's something, like I said earlier, that I can manage, that I don't need it. Is it distracting, like during work? Do I need, whatever? I might just start taking some with me in the mornings or packing them in my stuff. And if I need them at work because they're distracting me too much or whatever, then I'll take it as needed that way. And I'll let you all know how that turned out. The last thing I want to talk about is kind of, I don't know, probably in my opinion might be the most important piece of this. First of all, check out the shirt, and that's the reason why. So there's many topics you could put under this thing might address, because this is the front, and I'll show you right here is the back. But depression, y'all. So I've always been we joke about this in our family. So I'm O positive blood type. My daughter's B positive. And both of us always typically have positive personalities. We tend to see the silver lining in situations, right? And then my son and my wife are either O negative or B negative, something like that. We always joke because they tend to have kind of the pessimistic side point of view. So, but as far as depression, when they told me that, they said that at the hospital, I've never been a person that falls into depression, at least not that I realized or thought of. I've always been kind of a positive person. Last couple of weeks, though, really hit me, and I got kind of low, and I've never, and I wasn't in the past couple of weeks, but I've never been that person. Thank God, and family and loved ones and friends and whatever. I've never been a person who has thought of ending my life. I grew up and was raised and have always had that point of view that is a huge waste, and it's a severe cost to loved ones, a loss to loved ones, and they have to pick up the pieces and try to understand why a person would do that. I'm not going to go into anybody else's or that kind of stuff. I'm just saying depression is usually one of the primary factors involved in that, and so I'm going to be deliberately careful as I talk about this so I can make sure I cover what I want to cover. They explained that depression, especially after any kind of major surgery, has a high statistic as far as patients experiencing it. I'm going to show you and put them in front of my face here. I did a Google search on why, especially after triple bypass open heart surgery, why depression is possible. And here you'll see it shows why and explains it. And CABG is coronary artery bypass surgery, bypass, and that's what I went through. And it just goes through a good piece here of why. And then I'm going to show you another clip here that's a video clip it kind of elaborated more on the aspects or the areas where depression might be, whether it's social, whether it's isolation, whether it's mental, whether it's dietary, all the changes that a person's body and brain and everything go through after surgery that can be a cause or combination of causes for depression. So like I said, you're not going to see my face. You'll see the video here. I scrolled through it very slowly with my finger on my phone so you could see those. So the biggest thing is, I would say overall, is to avoid isolation. If possible, if nothing else, avoid it, because I've found that it's those really quiet moments where you're by yourself. I don't care if you're by yourself in the toilet, right, in the bathroom. When you're by yourself at night, when you're laying there in bed, if you start getting those kind of thoughts, find something on the phone to watch or read or something. Don't sit there and lay there and stare in the dark and stare at the demons because they're staring back at you, and just lay there and think about this stuff. Do not do that. Find something to distract yourself. Like I said, read Bible verses, read a book that you've got on your phone, something until you start feeling drowsy and can go to sleep. I've just found that in those isolated, quiet times when nothing's going on, your brain has nothing to distract it or occupy it, that's when that stuff creeps in. So what I found for me, the things that hit me starting a couple of weeks back, matter of fact, it was Memorial Day. We finished up our ride, we went to going to an observance, and the American Legion local one said they were going to have free lunch, burgers and hot dogs. And I had a couple things to do at the house, so I decided to forego that and go home. But in my head, part of me, and some of you might think this is silly, but others who, you know what I'm talking about. Under the dietary changes of your life, hot dogs and burgers are not something you want to mess with on a routine basis, really at all. If you can stay away from them, do it. And I have probably 90% for the most part since my surgery. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've had a hot dog or a hamburger since my surgery, and that's been 5 months, right? 17 weeks. So, actually a little over 4 months, right? So, I was riding home, and I felt a little bit of call it dismay, call it depression. I don't know, just down. I was like sad. I wasn't happy about it. I was like, man, I used to enjoy hot dogs, enjoy hamburgers, throwing, all the condiments on a burger or whatever, chili cheese hot dogs, whatever. And that brought me down. I was not happy. I got home and had my lunch or whatever, and I wasn't good. I wasn't. And so funny thing is, my daughter later on that day, she was going through some allergy issues and stuff, and her sinus stuff, the discharge, expectant stuff that she coughed out and sneezed out and blew out, was yellow. And we told her, hey, you need to hydrate more, and you need to stay away from the sugar. And so she came down here when I was on the couch, and she was kind of unhappy looking, and we said, I asked her what's going on. She said, I need to stay away from sugar, and so I need to have some water, and I wouldn't mind having a soda. And right at that moment, granted, she's a teenager, 18, and she doesn't need all as much, they don't need that junk soda stuff, right? We all know that as adults, and we tell the kids that all the time. You don't need soda, you should drink water. But all those healthy, joking tips aside, I could see that she wasn't happy about it, and I realized in that moment, I was like, hey, I understand what you're feeling. And I explained to her what I went through with the burgers and hot dogs thing, and she was like, exactly, that's exactly what I'm feeling inside. So the dietary piece. The other part is the last two pieces of it were feeling helpless after surgery, and a separate one was kind of different. So the helpless piece, y'all know this. I've been talking about this in the videos. I was for several weeks, and even now, I am limited on physical activity, what I can lift, what I can pick up, what I can carry, what I can move, based upon weight. I've had situations, or especially early on, where I couldn't pick up a chair, I couldn't push a chair, I couldn't pick up a bag of trash to take the trash out. All these things, and family and friends would say, hey brother, or hey honey, get away from that, you're not doing that, I'll take care of that. That can weigh on you. It can wear you down when you just aren't able to do the things you're normally able to do. So I'm not saying you're not going to get past that. I've been saying that strength will return. We know this. It will return. You'll get stronger again, you'll heal up. It takes time with our bodies, but you also have to be aware that depression can sneak in those quiet moments, and that helplessness can lead to feelings of worthlessness. Don't bite on those. Don't go down that path, okay? Talk about these things. Articulate them. Speak about them. Be verbal about them to your family and friends and loved ones, even if it's in a joking manner, because you need to get it out and tell people, because people need to know this, so that if nothing else, they can encourage you and they can be right there with you. Okay. That's all I can say as far as the depression stuff. I went low. Like I said, it wasn't like a week-long thing of laying in bed or anything. For me, it's kind of like where I still do physical functions, walking, talking, moving around, but I kind of mentally shut down on my social interaction stuff. I'm quiet, okay? So, and that's where I was. So you just got to be careful. Aside from that, so off of me, I'm going to change the subject again. Y'all keep Riley in your prayers. She is, I'm going to share a picture here that her mother just shared this week, and also the verbiage. I'm going to do two. One is the picture she shared, and one is the Facebook post, social media thing she shared about their current situation. So her feeding tube that was in her nose came out. That's awesome. Rebecca said, I think that her weight is up and is maintaining, I think. So they're looking for the kidney transplant donor. They're going through that process right now. So please continue to keep her in your prayers, because it's, when you think about it, it's nothing like doing open triple heart bypass surgeries or any of that stuff, right? The surgeries that I went through, that we've gone through, those are final actions or means to get to an end, so to speak, for a final action, right? under the transplant stuff, when you have these things going on, she's had a hard time maintaining her weight. She's had seizures. Some other. She puts these in her comment in her Facebook stuff. So she's had these things going on, and so they have to travel to Nashville, to Cincinnati, to wherever, to these medical professional specialist locations for Riley's conditions. So there's a lot of driving, a lot of patience, a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy involved, a lot of information flowing, and sometimes there's no information. And I can imagine how frustrating that must be. And for a 15-year-old to be going through this and having to understand this is what's going on in my life and I have to deal with this, the maturity level is off the charts, y'all. She is an incredible young lady. So please continue to keep her in your prayers. She is fighting through everything. She's resilient. She's showing it. When she can, she's got a great smile on her face, and she will brighten up a room when she walks in it and smiles and stuff. She's got a lot of energy too. So we're praying for you, Riley. Just want you to know that. And then also for Dale, if y'all haven't seen, I don't know his current situation in his fight with cancer, but I do know that I think he was in a motorcycle accident. A car pulled out in front of them blindly, made a left turn in front of them, either earlier this week or within the last few days, or last week and a half or so. So please keep them in your prayers for healing and recovery from that, along with his fight. And it goes without saying, y'all, if you don't ride a motorcycle, fine, I get that. My channel is until this happened was all about motorcycle stuff, or usually about motorcycle stuff. But I'm just going to tell you, please, if you're out there driving, please watch out for motorcycle riders. I know some riders are out there riding like idiots. You could say that about anything, right? Vehicle drivers, bike drivers, people walking down the street, those bad apples that make it harder for the majority of that, group or niche. But please keep an eye out. Look twice down the streets. Make sure you're not used to looking for motorcycle riders. Please keep an eye out for that, as we're getting into the warm weather again, and motorcycle riding season is upon us. So with that, I don't have anything else to add. Hopefully this video isn't too long. It looks like it's probably been about 20-25 minutes. If you have any questions about how I'm doing, please feel free to put them in the comments. Please continue to share your stories, your experiences. They are inspiring me, they're encouraging me, and I promise you other people are reading them and you're encouraging them as well. I've read them, and I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time when I go through a lot of what people are posting. I'm having a hard time keeping dry eyes. It's really, really cool, and I really do appreciate your comments and your encouragement. Thank you. Until the next video, y'all, y'all stay safe out there. Enjoy the seasons wherever you are. Stay safe. God bless you and love you. Take care.